Tim Ramsey, China is slowing, Europe is imploding, the Arab fall is in full swing. So why is now the time for frontier investing?
Well, I think what we want to do with Europe very much a question mark, and with China slowing down, I think a lot of investors, and us in particular, are looking at looking beyond the traditional equity areas of the emerging markets and developed markets, which have exceedingly high correlations during these crisis times with the U.S. market and the developed markets amongst themselves, to look at frontier markets, which have, although correlations have been increasing globally, they have a much lower correlation. It's averaged around 0.5 over the last decade with the developed markets. So they're not moving in sync, and they're a way of dampening volatility in the portfolio.
Well, let's go around the world if you don't mind. Let's start in Africa. So which frontier markets do you like in Africa? Which countries? Which companies?
Well, to talk about companies is a little bit difficult in the sense that not a lot of them had ADRs which the U.S. investor can access directly. What we do is we would take a broader country approach, and using local shares in a large investment vehicle, we would buy a country basket. We want exposure to the country in our methodology and not necessarily the individual company. It's much like the old days of emerging markets, where you buy the cement company, you buy the phone company, you buy the financial, and you hang on for the ride. In Africa right now, a market that we do not like is Kenya. There's a lot positive going on in Kenya despite some political unrest, but we think the exchange rate is in fact overvalued. A market that we do like is Nigeria. We see risk metrics coming down in Nigeria, which we think is a positive for long-term valuations.
One interesting choice that I saw in your frontier markets portfolio, you do a lot of research over at Roosevelt, is Pakistan. Now, there's a lot of worries in terms of the politics in Pakistan. Why do you want to own Pakistan right now?
Well, we've done a lot of research into the international markets over the last 2 decades. We've found that the investment metrics of value, growth, risk, and sentiment momentum tell us a lot about future equity returns. Sometimes it can happen that some of those metrics can be positive and overwhelm the negatives coming out of other metrics. Pakistan is a question wherein the valuations are exceedingly cheap and year-over-year price momentum is very positive, at least relatively so, and it's overwhelming the sort of negative risk metrics that we're seeing emanating out of the region generally.
And in South America, interestingly enough, you like Argentina. Everyone's worried about Christina Kirchner nationalizing a lot of industries down there. Why do you want to get involved with Argentina at this juncture?
Right, a bit of a pet project of mine. I used to live down in Argentina. So let's just be clear, we don't love Argentina. It's really a relative game. We're looking at all of the frontier markets and trying to understand how they rank according to each other. Argentina, I've mentioned the growth factors, the risk factors, the value factors, the sentiment momentum factors. Argentina has valuation to offer. It's a cheap market right now, and the investable universe in Argentina is one that is what is possible to be nationalized has largely been gone after. But it still exists down there. Telecom Argentina is one stock that we would buy. Petrobras Energia would be another one if you're looking for Argentine exposure.
Finally, as I mentioned at the top, the Arab fall is in full swing. A lot of capitals over there are in flames. So why do you want to get invested in some of those countries right now?
Well, right now we wouldn't be focused necessarily in the Middle East and Africa on any of the Arab markets specifically. I think we like markets on the periphery of the frontier. Something like Kazakhstan, which is far removed from the Arab Spring. It has but it's certainly, at the locus of sort of a Islamic awakening. Nevertheless, has an extremely high dividend yield, excellent growth prospects, which huge oil and gas fields, and extremely cheap valuations as well.